Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the Melanoma Research Alliance Town Hall today. We're so excited for all of you who've taken time out of your busy schedules to join us as we share all sorts of new information during Melanoma Awareness Month here at MRA. I'm so happy to be joined by Dr. Marc Hurlbert, MRA's Chief Executive Officer, and Marc, loving the umbrella that you are virtually standing under. We appreciate that. Welcome, Marc.
Thank you. Well, getting prepared and staying sun safe, Stephanie.
Absolutely. So, even though tomorrow kicks off May Melanoma Awareness Month schedule events, we know here at the Melanoma Research Alliance that melanoma awareness, education, and research is every single day, 365 days a year. But we're really excited to kind of share this conversation with you today. So, the Melanoma Research Alliance, our mission is very clear to us and it guides all of us here every day. It's to end suffering and death due to melanoma by collaborating with all stakeholders to accelerate the powerful research that we have the tremendous opportunity to invest in to advance cures for all patients so we can ensure that no patient is left behind, and of course, to prevent more melanoma. So as we think about our mission and what makes us different, why the Melanoma Research Alliance in this work? Well, first, we stand proud to be the largest nonprofit funder of melanoma research in the world, thanks to our streamlined vision of research. Every major breakthrough that's happened in melanoma research over the last 17 years, we have been at the vanguard through the funding of incredible researchers and scientists around the world. And that's really a testament to our grant review committee, our board leadership, our scientific advisory boards, the ability to spot the most innovative and promising researchers in the world. And your investment with the Melanoma Research Alliance goes further. We remain ever grateful to our founders, Deborah and Leon Black, who support us every single day in a number of ways, but they underwrite 100% of all donations to MRA. They actually underwrite 100% of all of our administrative and operating costs. So that enables all of our donors to have their donation go directly into our scientific investment. And we continue to remain grateful to Deborah and Leon Black for their tremendous support in this regard. So as we move into Melanoma Awareness Month, there's a number of ways for all of you to get involved. Kicking off tomorrow, we're going to be announcing our 2024 research portfolio and investment, but Marc Hurlbert is going to give you a little sneak preview of that later on in our town hall today. On May 1st through the 8th, you can head on over onto the online community, the Melanoma Exchange, on curemelanoma.org, where we'll be hosting an Ask the Expert with board-certified dermatologist and assistant professor of dermatology at Harvard University Medical School, Dr. Eugene Seminoff. Dr. Seminoff's clinical expertise includes cutaneous oncology with a focus on melanoma and supportive oncodermatology. And his research areas include the epidemiology of melanoma and non-melanoma skin cancer with an emphasis on improving outcomes and treatments for patients who have advanced melanoma disease. Then you are invited to join us on May 21st to the Melanoma Story Swap, where you will have an opportunity to hear from others in the melanoma community share their story. You can share your story, make connections in this very intimate, personalized experience, and we hope that you'll join us again. On May 23rd, we're really excited to have a conversation with Dr. Allison Batoff-Warner around the 17th approved treatment by the FDA around TIL therapy. Many of you may have heard, what is TIL therapy? It goes in the acronym of AMTA-GVI, which is also known by the generic name of Lufacel, which is a new therapy to help treat patients with advanced melanoma in a second-line setting. And this new treatment, called tumor-infiltrating lymphocyte, also known as TIL, is the first T-cell immunotherapy to earn FDA approval in any cancer. And so to learn more about this approval, what TIL therapy means, and the treatment horizon ahead, we're so thrilled to have MRA's Chief Scientific Officer, Dr. Joan Levy, in conversation with Dr. Batoff-Warner of Stanford University. And Dr. Warner has been a pioneer in the use of the commercial tumor infiltrating lymphocyte therapy. So you'll not want to miss out on that conversation. On May 24th, it's called Don't Friday. The National Council of Skin Cancer Prevention has designated the Friday before Memorial Day as Don't Friday to raise the awareness of skin cancer prevention and to encourage everyone as the unofficial start to summer to protect their skin. We also are going to be having some Instagram takeovers by special guests from the melanoma community. So you won't want to miss out on that. So follow us at Melanoma on Instagram to hear more stories from researchers, patients, and the melanoma community at large. And then finally, because it is May Melanoma Awareness Month, we're so thankful to a generous donor who is challenging us to invest as much as we can in melanoma research. So all new donations to the Melanoma Research Alliance starting May 1st through May 31st, those gifts will be matched dollar for dollar, so your donation will be doubled. And again, thanks to our founders, Deborah and Leon Black, 100% of those donations will go directly into our research portfolio. No administrative, no overhead. So last thing I'll share with you before we turn it over to Dr. Hurlbert is we have our Step Up for Melanoma Virtual Fitness Challenge. We're so excited to be in our 4th year of this challenge. So you can step up, sign up to walk 10,000 steps a day in May for Melanoma Awareness Month. Bring in your community, your friends, your colleagues to join you in this really wonderful challenge. We have a new platform that we're working on, Tiltify, that will enable you to just sign up very easy. You can join as an individual stepper, a team captain, or a team member. We have a step-by-step toolkit on how to sign up, which we will put that into the links that we're sharing with you. We've got some exciting fundraising incentives thanks to all of our incredible partners that are supporting us, from L'Oreal Dermatological Beauty to Bimini Bay to Boost Sunscreen and so many more. So, and please take a look at Step Up, and the winner, the top fundraiser, will receive a travel scholarship to our 2025 Scientific Retreat Patient Forum. So we're really excited on a very number of ways that you can join us here at MRA. So I'm going to pass it along to Dr. Marc Hurlbert, who has some really exciting news about our grant investment that we will be officially announcing tomorrow, as well as some of the areas that we're focusing on. Over to you, Dr. Hurlbert.
Thanks, Stephanie. And I really encourage everyone to join. Both Stephanie and myself and most of the MRA team will be stepping up for melanoma research starting tomorrow. So I encourage you all to join Step Up for Melanoma along with Stephanie and I. And thrilled to give all of you watching today a little sneak peek into our new grant announcements, which will be announced tomorrow or early this week at some point. We will be announcing 12.6 million in new grant investments, and it's really an exciting time in melanoma research. The funding of these new awards, the areas of focus are shown on the screen, but essentially helping advance new treatment options for patients that don't respond to the 17 amazing treatments FDA approved in the last decade or so. So how do we understand why some patients respond and some patients don't? How do we overcome that, what we call treatment resistance? And how do we develop new treatment options? Also among the grants is a large collection of awards focused on rare melanomas. Rare melanomas that occur in the eyes, called ocular or uveal melanoma, on the hands or the feet, called acrolentiginous melanoma, and on the moist mucous membranes of your body, called mucosal melanoma, are 3 rare subtypes that are understudied, but MRA is to date the largest investor of funding into rare melanoma research, and several new awards in that category tomorrow. We'll also be announcing some new projects, several new awards focusing on understanding and developing treatment approaches for brain metastasis, as well as leptomeningeal disease. When melanoma spreads to the brain or to the spinal fluid, it can be really difficult to treat, although there's many patients, several that are on some of our advisory boards and board that engage with MRA that have survived brain metastasis, but it can be quite challenging clinically. And so more research is needed. So you'll see several new projects in that. And then the last two areas, we still need to do better at improving detection and diagnosis of melanoma. So we're investing in additional research, uh, harnessing the power of artificial intelligence and machine learning and big data science to help understand risk and improving detection and diagnosis of melanoma. And then lastly, an area that we have been funding for a few years, but still is critical, is understanding the role of our own microbiome. So for those of you listening that don't know, the microbiome is essentially a symbiotic relationship. The bacteria and things that live with us, within us, on us, on our skin, in our guts. Um, we know that this plays a role in melanoma. There's data to suggest that antibiotic use, taking antibiotics, obviously clears up a bacterial infection, but antibiotic use during immunotherapy for melanoma can alter, your response to immunotherapy. And as well, we know that eating a lot of leafy vegetables and high fiber in your diet can improve your gut microbiome and can improve your response to immunotherapy and long-term improve outcomes. So there's a lot going on with the microbiome, but still understanding that science is in its earliest days. So we continue to invest in that area. I'll go to the next slide. And really excited, I put this one in here to, if you really take a step back, and Stephanie and I were chatting about this morning, but if you really take a step back, just since 2011, there's been 17 new drugs approved for melanoma, advanced melanoma cases, first in the stage 4 setting, now in the stage 3, and even stage 2 setting. The first new class of drugs were immunotherapy agents, with the first one, ipilimumab, approved in 2011, and then others approved over the last decade. This year, we have the first ever cell-based therapy for a solid tumor, and that's Amtagvi, the TIL therapy that Stephanie mentioned, which is very exciting. I know one of our listeners today and a few friends that I've met along the way are TIL patients and had wonderful outcomes, and you'll hopefully get to hear more about their stories this month. But so if you think about it, a decade ago, we didn't have many treatments, but now we have immunotherapies, we have BRAF MEK targeted therapies, the first ever cell-based therapy for a solid tumor. And then coming along in the future, there's new cancer vaccines, this mRNA technology that all of you know about from the COVID vaccines, mRNA designed vaccines are now in late stage clinical trials, phase 2 and phase 3. And some of the early work on these personalized as well as more generic off-the-shelf vaccine approaches have been funded by MRA scientists at Dana-Farber, at universities in Europe. And now they've translated into the biotech sector. And as I said, are in some late stage clinical development, phase 2 and phase 3. So really exciting times. And I think just that melanoma research is really leading the way for all of cancer. Immunotherapies first approved in melanoma, now are used in 24 types of cancers. The first TIL therapy approved this year for melanoma is being explored in other cancers. And like I said, the cancer vaccines still under development, not yet FDA approved, but are leading the way in melanoma and being studied in multiple different cancer types. So really exciting progress, but every day I personally help a few patients with a diagnosis, and sadly still too many of these patients are not surviving despite all these advances. So more research is needed, more funding is needed, and we'll continue to do all that we can at MRA until we cure this disease and figure out how to prevent this disease and put ourselves out of business. With that, I'll go to the last slide on mine, is to talk about how MRA can support you, any of the listeners or your friends or family or loved ones year round. We do have the Clinical Trial Navigator. It's on our website. You can visit the website at curemelanoma.org. But the Clinical Trial Navigator, if you have not used it, it's a tool that helps you search for clinical trials geographically nearby where you live. You can put in your zip code and how far you're willing to drive or travel, if it's 10 miles or 100 miles or 1,000 miles. And it will produce clinical trials that are open and recruiting within that distance. And you can also add other new criteria to really sort of customize and drill down into your your unique features, where you've had melanoma, what prior therapies you've had, and really drill down into trials that are relevant to you. but please check out the Clinical Trial Navigator if you or a loved one needs to explore clinical trials. We also have the Melanoma Exchange. This is our online discussion community. We have some amazing new moderators. This is moderated by a group of patients and survivors and caregivers, and we have a really amazing group of Melanoma Exchange moderators. Really thanks to all the ones that have served us since we launched this about 4 years ago, and the new group of moderators that started on January 1st. And then lastly, we have this rare melanoma registry, and this is for anyone with melanoma. If you have regular skin melanoma, cutaneous, anywhere on your skin, you can join the rare registry. If you have acral or mucosal melanoma, you can join the rare registry. And this registry, MRA is leading this. It was brought to us as an idea by patients with mucosal melanoma and patients with acral melanoma. And the rare registry, we think of it as designed by patients, driven by patients. There's a patient advisory board, a medical advisory board with the top doctors working in melanoma research. And MRA is leading this and managing all of this effort. And really, the key is to get thousands of people with acral, mucosal, and cutaneous melanoma that are willing to answer some survey questions, share their medical records, share their data. And that's the only way that we'll really make true advances in understanding these rare melanomas, how patients are treated, how are they diagnosed, how do they respond to therapy, and ultimately, how do we improve therapy for all melanomas. So very excited to have the rare registry. You can learn more at that at raremelanoma.org. And really, we need all of us to sign up and share our data and answer some survey questions. And with that, I think we will turn it over if there are any questions, but I did want to just highlight a couple things. One, you'll really enjoy the Ask the Expert with Dr. Eugene Semenov later this month. Dr. Semenov and myself and other collaborators at the Veterans Administration Hospital are leading a large study on looking at risk factors for rare melanomas, and we're looking at this in veteran populations as well as in the civilian population. And then later in the month, you'll have a really great time hearing from MRA's Chief Science Officer, Dr. Joan Levy, and Dr. Allison Betoff-Warner at Stanford University. Dr. Warner is really one of the leaders in cell-based therapies, TIL therapy for melanoma. And I think you'll be hearing a lot of great things from Dr. Joan Levy and Dr. Betoff-Warner. So with that, we'll take questions.
Yeah, I see a couple of things. So if you have questions out there, feel free to post them. Just a quick note around that is we cannot discuss anyone's personal diagnosis or any type of medical advice. So I just want to put that around any questions that we have. But Marc, we have a couple of come in already. So first things first, you mentioned the rare melanoma patient registry focused on acral, mucosal, and cutaneous. Uveal is not included in that. Do you want to share why uveal is not a part of the particular rare registry that we are supporting?
Yeah, that's a great question, Stephanie. So uveal melanoma, it's an area that we fund a lot of research in. We've invested, I believe, nearly $10 million already into uveal melanoma research. But on our patient registry, we're not recruiting patients with uveal. One of our collaborating organizations called A Cure in Sight has an outstanding uveal registry already with, I think, more than 700 uveal patients enrolled. And there are a few other patient registries as well out there for uveal melanoma by other groups, as well as a few academic ones. So we didn't want to compete with what was already out there. And instead, we're trying to fill gaps where things were not being done for acral and for mucosal.
That's great. Another great question that has come in. So we have, our Step Up for Melanoma campaign. You and I will be kicking that off tomorrow with everyone else who has signed up. But a great question has come in. We're all about obviously protecting skin, being sun safe. So if people are being asked to how do they participate in Step Up while being sun safe? What kind of tools and recommendations, Marc, do you have? I know I have a couple on my end, but I'd love to get you to start the answer on that one.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. We tell people to practice sun safety, but then we also say get 10,000 steps a day and step up for melanoma research. So I personally try to do my outdoor exercise in the early mornings or in the evenings while it's still daylight, but I try to avoid the peak hours between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. So try to do it in the earlier parts of the day. Of course, wear sunblock on all exposed parts of your skin. So we recommend wearing SPF 30 and reapplying it at least every 2 hours, more often if you're jumping in and out of a pool or the ocean or a lake, if you're getting wet. And then the other few tips are wearing a hat for sun safety, and then wear UPF protective fabric clothing. So I wear long sleeve polo shirts that are specifically designed with UPF protection factor of 50 or higher. And there's a lot of options out there from many of our partners. So those are some of my tips, but definitely stay sun safe while getting your exercise.
No, absolutely. And wear a wide brimmed hat. And baseball caps still have exposure as much as we may love them. So a wide brimmed hat and then UPV protective sunglasses while you're out there. We're really excited to see kind of the community conversations that we always have every year around that. So thank you for that. Another question that has come in, and it's around, this alarming trend that we're seeing around melanoma diagnoses happening in much younger populations around particularly cutaneous or skin melanoma. And, what are we thinking? Because usually a melanoma diagnosis tends to be a little bit of a diagnosis that happens for people in their 50s, 60s, and 70s as a result of that cumulative UV exposure. But we're starting to see it, really have significant increases in younger populations, and particularly for young women. Marc, are there any signals around why we are seeing such an increase, given that there is so much emphasis today on skin health and skincare routines? Love to get your perspectives around that.
Yeah, I mean, so again, melanoma is typically found in people in their 60s and 70s, sometimes in the 50s. But there's this alarming trend of increasing incidence among younger populations, especially young women between the age of 18 and 30. And we don't know exactly why this is caused. It's still an area of ongoing investigation and study, and more research is needed. But there's two things that doctors think could be possible. One is there some behavior, whether it's tanning bed use or intentionally exposing skin to the sun? Is there some behavior that's changed among this younger population where they're getting unnecessary sun exposure that we're not aware of? We don't know if that's the case. But then the second line of investigation, is it that this group is more hypervigilant? I know people that are in my peer age group, when we were running around in track meets in the 1970s and 1980s, we didn't wear a lot of sunblock back then. We didn't know better, but today people know better. And so the second line of research is this just a case where people know better and they're finding melanomas, that otherwise maybe wouldn't be found until some substantial time later? And so is it sort of I wouldn't say overdiagnosis, but just earlier diagnosis and earlier, vigilance around looking for our skin. So looking for changes in our skin. So a lot more research to be done about what's going on in the younger populations, and we'll continue to investigate those areas of research.
Great. We have one last question, and just want to let everybody out there who's joining us today for the Melanoma Research Alliance Town Hall that we have put a link in the chat that has all of the different ways that you can get involved with us this month, all the different activations and programming. So you do have that in the chat. We are also recording this, so we will make that available through all of our social media channels, so that if you want to go through all the opportunities, programming, you can access that recording as well. One last question that has come in, and this is a question regarding artificial intelligence and apps in your smartphone. Marc, obviously there is this desire for consumers, all of us out there, to be able to continue to be proactive with our health. There's a lot of apps out there where you could take a picture of a suspicious skin lesion or a mole, and then maybe have some sort of diagnosis come back. But right now, are those apps, truly ready for prime time, or what are your suggestions around that space? And what is MRA looking to kind of help advance within AI and machine learning in this kind of early detection space?
Yeah, it's a great question. So today there is no app that I personally use or that we would recommend as an organization that people can use at home. Unfortunately, there's just not available today. But I think that technology is coming. We're funding some research. There'll be one of the projects announced tomorrow that's specifically looking at, in a dermatology practice, the idea of utilizing an app or other technology tied with AI to help follow suspicious lesions over time, and helping as a triage system of when do you need to get in to have it biopsied or not biopsied. But today, there's no app on your phone that I would recommend. If you think about it, it's really challenging if you think about like what angle you're holding the phone at, how close are you, how's the lighting. There's also all sorts of variables that we haven't yet figured out for at-home use. But as well, there's some technology companies, one that actually has an at-home dermatoscope you could clip onto your smartphone and use at home. But again, that's still that's still in the earliest of stages, and it's only being used in the clinic setting, trying to help primary care doctors and even dermatology practices that need extra technologies to help them sort of, again, as more of a triage system. And it's not yet available for, at-home use. But I think that technology is coming. I think within a few short years, we will have some medically vetted, medically validated apps and other technologies you can use at home for monitoring. And this is especially important for melanoma and skin cancer survivors who are at risk for a second melanoma. So
That's great. Thank you so much. Well, this was 30 minutes of great dialogue to share with all of our supporters, new members to the melanoma community, but we are here all the time. So again, we'd love to encourage all of you to stay in touch with us at the Melanoma Research Alliance. We have a tremendous amount of resources on our website, which is curemelanoma.org. Join us on social media. Again, the links to all the different activations and programming for this month are in the chat now, but also feel free to join us in any number of ways. And on behalf of the Melanoma Research Board of Directors, the scientists that we are so proud to invest and fund, our partners who collaborate with us every day, and then the heartbeat of our mission, the patients and their caregivers who we are in service to. Thank you so much for joining us today here at the Melanoma Research Alliance. We wish you good things ahead, and we look forward to enjoying May and the summer and all year round, safely protecting our skin and advancing the research that is saving lives and creating better outcomes. Thank you, and have a good afternoon.
thank you for your support.